Personality Disorder, HPD, is defined by American Psychiatric Association as a personality disorder characterized by a pattern of excessive attention-seeking behaviors, usually beginning in early adulthood, including inappropriate seduction and an excessive desire for approval. People diagnosed with the disorder are said to be lively, dramatic, vivacious, enthusiastic, extroverted, and flirtatious. HPD lies in the dramatic cluster of personality disorders. People with HPD have a high desire for attention, make loud and inappropriate appearances, exaggerate their behaviors and emotions, and crave stimulation. Eating a veggie pizza here. It's called Sir Isaac Veggie. It's got artichokes in it, black olives, tomatoes, peppers, stuff like that. Okay. They may exhibit sexually provocative behavior, express strong emotions with an impressionistic style, and be easily influenced by others. Associated features include egocentrism, self-indulgence, continuous longing for appreciation, and persistent manipulative behavior to achieve their own wants. Signs and symptoms. People diagnosed with HPD may be dramatic. They often fail to see their own personal situation realistically, instead dramatizing and exaggerating their difficulties. Patients with this disorder can have rapidly shifting emotions and a decreased ability to recognize others' emotions. Their emotions may appear superficial or exaggerated to others, and this disorder is associated with extroversion, a lower tolerance for frustration or delayed gratification, and openness to new experiences. People with HPD may have little self-doubt and often appear egocentric. has also shown those with histrionic personality have a greater desire for social approval and reassurance and will constantly seek it out, making those with HPD more vulnerable to social media addiction. People with this disorder often display excessive sensitivity to criticism or disapproval. They will work hard to get others to pay attention to them, possibly as a method of testing the stability of relationships. They may enjoy situations where they can be the center of attention and may feel uncomfortable when people are not paying attention to them. It is common for people with this disorder to wear flamboyant clothing, try body modifications, and fake medical conditions in an attempt to draw others' attention. They may display inappropriately sexually provocative, flirtatious, or exploitive behavior. Sexting and exhibitionist behavior are also behaviors people with this condition sometimes exhibit. Some people with histrionic traits or personality disorder change their seduction or technique into a more parental style as they age. When their desire for attention is not met, it can heighten the severity of their symptoms. They tend to be impressionable and easily manipulatable, I guess you would say, especially by those they respect. Patients with HPD are usually high functioning, both socially and professionally. They usually have good social skills, despite tending to use them to make themselves the center of attention. HPD may also affect a person's social and romantic relationships, as well as their ability to cope with losses or failures. People with HPD tend to consider relationships closer than they usually are. They may seek treatment for clinical depression when romantic or other close personal relationships end. Substance disorders such as alcohol use disorder or opioid use disorder are all common in patients with histrionic personality disorder. They are also at higher risk of suicide, body dysmorphia, and divorce. They may go through frequent job changes as they become easily bored and may prefer withdrawing from frustration instead of facing it because they tend to crave novelty and excitement. They may place themselves in risky situations. This pizza is really good. All of these factors may lead to greater risk of developing clinical depression. People with change, viewing any change as a threat. They may even blame their personal failures or disappointments on others. Causes. Little research has been done to find evidence of what causes histrionic personality disorder, although direct causes are inconclusive. Various theories and studies suggest that multiple causes of a neurochemical, genetic, psychoanalytic, or environmental nature, traits such as extravagance, vanity, and seductiveness of hysteria have similar quality to become diagnosed with HPD. HPD symptoms typically do not fully develop until the age of 15, while the onset of treatment only occurs on average at approximately 40 years of age. Neurochemical physiological studies have shown that there is a strong correlation between the function of neurotransmitters and the cluster B personality disorders such as HPD. Individuals diagnosed with HPD have a highly responsive noradrenergic system, which is responsible for the synthesis, storage, and release of the neurotransmitter norepinephrine. High levels of norepinephrine lead to anxiety proneness, dependency, and high sociability. Genetic. Twin studies aided in breaking down the genetic versus environmental debate. A twin study conducted by the Department of Psychology at Oslo University attempted to establish a correlation between genetics and cluster B personality disorders. With a test sample of 221 twins, 92 monozygotic and 129 dizygotic. Researchers interviewed the subjects using the structured clinical interview for DSM-3R personality disorders SCID2 and concluded that there was a correlation of 0.67 that histrionic personality disorder is hereditary. Psychoanalytic theory, though criticized as being unsupported by scientific evidence, psychoanalytic theories incriminate authoritarian or distant attitudes by one, mainly the mother, or both parents, along with conditional love based on expectations the child can never fully meet. Using psychoanalysis, Freud believed that lustfulness was a projection of the patient's lack of ability to love unconditionally and develop cognitively to maturity. And that such patients were overall emotionally shallow. He believed the reason for being unable to love could could have resulted from a traumatic experience, such as the death of a close relative during childhood or a divorce of one's parents, which gave the wrong impression of committed relationships. Exposure to one or multiple traumatic occurrences of a close friend or family members leaving via abandonment or mortality would make the person unable to form true and affectionate attachments towards other people. HPT and antisocial personality disorder. Another theory suggests the possible relationship between histrionic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. Research has found 2/3 of patients diagnosed with histrionic personality disorder also meet criteria similar to those of the antisocial personality disorder, which suggests both disorders have, based towards sex type expressions, may have the same underlying cause. Some family history studies have found that histrionic personality disorder, as well as borderline and antisocial personality disorders, tend to run in families, but it is unclear how much is due to genetic versus environmental factors. Both examples suggest that predisposition could be a factor as to why certain people are diagnosed with histrionic personality disorder. However, little is known about whether or not the disorder is influenced by any biological compound or is genetically inheritable. Little research has been conducted to determine the biological sources, if any, of this disorder. Diagnosis. The person's appearance, behavior, and history, along with a psychological evaluation, are usually sufficient to establish a diagnosis. There is no test to confirm this diagnosis because the criteria are subjective. Some people may be wrongly diagnosed. DSM-5. The current edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5, defines histrionic personality disorder in cluster B as a pervasive pattern of excessive emotionality and attention-seeking beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by 5 or more of the following. Is uncomfortable in situations in which he or she is not the center of attention. Interaction with others is often characterized by inappropriate, sexually seductive, or provocative behavior. Displays rapidly shifting and shallow expressions of emotions. Consistently uses physical appearance to draw attention to self. Has a style of speech that is excessively impressionistic and lacking in detail. Shows self-dramatization, theatricality, and exaggerated expressions. of emotion. The is suggestible, i.e., easily influenced by others or circumstances. Considers relationships to be more intimate than they actually are. The DSM-5 requires that a diagnosis for any specific disorder, personality disorder, also satisfies a set of general personality disorder criteria. ICD-10, the World Health Organization's ICD-10 lists histrionic personality disorder as a personality disorder characterized by shallow and labile affectivity. Or maybe it's labile, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Self-dramatization, theatricality, exaggerated expressions of emotions, suggestibility, egocentricity, self-indulgence, lack of consideration for others, easily hurt feelings, and continuous seeking for appreciation, excitement, and attention. It is a requirement of ICD-10 that the diagnosis of any specific personality disorder also satisfies a set of general personality disorder criteria. Comorbidity. Most histrionics have other mental disorders. Comorbid conditions include antisocial, dependent, borderline, and narcissistic personality disorders, as well as depression, anxiety disorders, panic disorder, somatoform disorders, anorexia nervosa, substance use disorder, and attachment disorders, including reactive attachment disorder. Millions of subtypes. In 2000, Theodore Million suggested 6 subtypes of histrionic personality disorder. Any individual histrionic may exhibit one or more of the following. Okay, so the subtype, appeasing histrionic, including dependent and compulsive features. Here's the personality traits. Seeks to placate. Mend, patch up, smooth over troubles. Knack for settling differences. Moderating tempers by yielding, compromising, conceding. Sacrifices self or commendation. Fruitlessly placates the unplacatable. Then there's vivacious histrionic, including hypomanic features and possibly narcissistic features. Vigorous, charming, bubbly, brisk, spirited, flippant, impulsive, seeks momentary cheerfulness and playful adventures, animated, energetic, ebullient. Tempestuous histrionic, including negativistic features, impulsive, out of control, moody complaints, sulking, precipitous emotion, stormy, impassioned, easily wrought up, periodically inflamed, turbulent. And then there's disingenuous, histrionic, including antisocial features, underhanded, double-dealing, scheming, contriving, plotting, crafty, false-hearted, egocentric, insincere, deceitful, calculating, guileful, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Then there's theatrical, histrionic, variant of pure pattern, affected, mannered, put on. Postures are striking, eye-catching, graphic. Markets of self-appearance is synthesized, staging, simulates desirable dramatic poses. Infantile, histrionic, including borderline features, level, high-strung, volatile emotions, childlike hysteria, and nascent pouting, demanding, overwrought, facets and clutches to another, is excessively attached, hangs on, stays fused to and clinging. Treatment is often prompted by depression associated with dissolved romantic relationships. Medication does little to affect the personality disorder, but may be helpful with symptoms such as depression. Treatment for HPD itself involves psychotherapy, including cognitive therapy, interviews, and self-reported methods. In general, clinical practice with assessment of personality disorders. One form of interview is the most popular, an unstructured interview. The actual preferred method is a semi-structured interview, but there is reluctance to use this type of interview because they can seem impractical or superficial. The reason that semi-structured interview is preferred over an unstructured interview is that semi-structured interviews tend to be more objective, systematic, replicable, and comprehensive. Unstructured interviews, despite their popularity, tend to have problems with unreliability and those susceptible to errors leading to false assumptions of the patient. One of the single most successful methods for assessing personality disorders by researchers of normal personality functioning is the self-report inventory, following up with a semi-structured interview. There are some disadvantages with the self-reporting inventory method. That with the histrionic personality disorder, there is a distortion in character, self-presentation, and self-image. This cannot be assessed simply by asking most clients if they match the criteria for the disorder. Most objective testing depends on the ability or willingness of the person to provide an accurate description of the self, but there is currently limited empirical evidence on projective testing to assess histrionic personality disorder. Functional analytic psychotherapy. Another way to treat histrionic personality disorder after identification is through functional analytic psychotherapy. The job of a functional analytic psychotherapist is to identify the interpersonal problems with the patient as they can happen in session or out of session. Initial goals of functional analytic psychotherapy are set by the therapist and include behaviors that fit the client's needs for improvement. Functional analytic psychotherapy differs from the traditional psychotherapy due to the fact that the therapist directly addresses the pattern of behavior as they occur in session. The in-session behaviors of the patient or client are considered to be examples of their patterns of poor interpersonal communication and to adjust their neurotic defenses. To do this, the therapist must act on the client's behavior as it happens in real time and give feedback on how the client's behavior is affecting their relationship during therapy. The therapist also helps the client with histrionic personality disorder by denoting behaviors that happen outside of treatment. These behaviors are termed outside problems and outside improvements. This allows the therapist to assist the problems and improvements outside of session and to verbally support the client and condition optimal pattern of behavior. This then can reflect on how they are advancing in session and outside of session by generalizing their behavior over time for changes or improvement. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.